see me?
Yes.
I've got, yeah, there's like a little me down. It's not like the screen split on the phone. It's like there's a little picture of me and a big picture of you.
Yeah,
Does that work?
Well,
is that right?
You don't really want a big picture of me, but yeah, from a technical point of view, it works.
Is that what it will come out all right?
Yeah, it comes out fine. And I can hear you nice and clearly too. That's good.
All right, and don't need the headset. Sweet.
No.
Right, take two.
Well, there you go. Second time lucky.
Cool.
Nice. All right, so no one else heard what we just said, so we can
just go through it again.
Let's start again. Pauline, tell me about, no, hang on, how did the question go? I was asking you about your food, and you're so strategic almost with your food. Like,
yeah.
Are you still doing that?
Sort of. Sort of with a bit of resistance. I'm starting to sort of wind down from it a little bit now. I probably want to have another conversation with my coach. I've been reverse dieting since mid-April, since between the second and the third competition. So reverse dieting just means eating more food slowly.
You took my question.
Did I?
Reverse dieting means eating more food.
Yeah.
Got it.
Which is great when you've been eating sweet nothing to get on the stage because you're very lean. So, and just drip feeding you, increasing your carbs slowly, and the fats eventually. And now I'm eating an insane amount of food, and I'm at a point now where it's just getting a little bit too much. So,
what does that mean? It's getting too much?
I'm just eating way too much food. Like anybody that knows food, I'm eating like 205 carbs a day, and between 40 to 50 fat, and 140 grams of protein.
That's all grams, right? 205 grams of carbs, 40 to 50 grams of fat. Got it. And, you know, to the average Joe, 40 or 50 grams of fat a day isn't actually that much fat.
No. Most people give a lot more than that.
Exactly. I think I had more than that for dessert tonight.
That's pretty clean.
Yeah.
Probably did.
Why get into body sculpting?
Good question, because I'm insane. Look, I just had a run last year, or the last couple of years, where my energies were really low, and I knew that my hormones were out, so I got them balanced with herbs, and I started just feeling amazing, and was shifting a little bit of weight, and I suddenly started feeling really amazing, and I was like, what can I do with this? You know, maybe I should take up a sport. And then I thought, oh, at my age, what can I take up? And this little message came to me to look at bodybuilding and body sculpting. And I did look at it in my early 40s and thought no, but I've always loved the gym and doing weights. And it kept popping in. It was almost like spirit was sort of guiding me to it. And when I say spirit, it's like just this message that comes in, and really got to listen to that. So I kept sort of looking at it and parking it, and then it got really loud, like it was almost banging me on the head. And I was like, why? Why do I have to do this? And I had no answer, no reason of understanding of why to do it, but I decided to do it. And it was quite a journey. Very much focus, dedication. Well, you're an ex-bodybuilder, so, into weights and that, so you've got a bit of an idea of what's involved.
Sure. And, you know, I've been close to people that have been along the journey, and it's an interesting world to be in. Yeah. Did you notice that obviously the food changes and your training becomes so, robotic almost? Did you notice, I'll start again. How did your world change?
The world changed in that I had to count every single piece of food that went into my mouth and weigh it. And I had to plan my food every day. And at the beginning it was okay because I'd already been doing macro counting through my naturopath. so I was used to the system. When I started moving into comp, it became more strategic, where I would have to have less fat at a meal or less carbs at a meal. So I found it easy to just eat the same meal 4 times a day, and split it out that way. And I just got used to it. I'm pretty good with things, with that sort of thing. I've got the discipline for it, so I was okay. I actually was okay with it. I guess life changed in that I couldn't go out, although once a week I could have my cheat meal.
Oh,
so
you had a cheat day?
Yeah, once a week. So I'd always be ringing the friends going, right, we're going for dinner here, we're going for dinner there. I'd always pick my restaurant because I was very fussy about where I was going to eat, because I still wanted it to be really good, yummy food.
Exactly.
I wasn't into eating McDonald's or anything. So that was my night out of celebration, and then rein it back in the rest of the week. But after a period, when we got into the pointier end of comp, I could have a cheat meal, but it was still macro controlled, so it was a cheat meal at home.
When did you? When was it the hardest?
Well, interestingly, about 10 days to 2 weeks before the first comp, I remember going to the gym, and you're training, you're increasing your weights, and you're training hard, and you've got less food. So you've really got to dig deep to train. And I remember walking out of the gym, and I was completely and utterly spent. I was just got home. I literally pulled my runners off, crawled into bed, pulled the covers over my head, and completely just was wiped physically and emotionally. And realised I'd sort of lost my shit basically. And I was a bit like, oh my God. And I was having almost an anxiety attack, which is not something that I have. So I phoned a couple of friends to facilitate me. I got onto someone to facilitate me and cleared it all.
What does that mean, facilitate you?
Well, I dabble a little bit in access consciousness, which is working with energy. So I rang and got onto a friend that facilitates that.
Yeah.
And she just asked me lots of questions and just did a lot of clearings, energetic clearings, and we just cleared it. And after that, I sort of just was in a bit of a funk and went to the beach and just grounded myself. And then after that, I was fine and went into comp feeling amazing and cruisy, and I was cool.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, going into the next comp, because it's hard doing them back to back. I thought, I'll be fine now. I've had my meltdown. Meltdown, I'll be right. And going into the second comp was so much harder. I don't think if I hadn't bought my air ticket, I hadn't got my air tickets because it was in Townsville.
Yeah.
I probably could have very easily bailed.
You wouldn't have gone.
Because, well, it was borderline, but I had my air ticket, so I had to go. And that was harder because he was shredding me even more. So my food that month was even less. So that was tough. And then going into the third comp, it was easy because I was increasing my food. So I was kept joking that you're going to have to roll me off the stage because I'm eating so much food. So the last comp was fantastic, and I got another win. So that was even better.
Well done. How did you go in your comps?
And in Gladstone, I came third place in fitness and sports model, but they didn't have a 50-plus category, so I was up against a 40-year-old. So that felt really good to get up on the podium.
You still got third in that, yeah?
Yeah, beating girls a lot younger than me. And then in Brisbane, I won the Fitness Plus Miss Athletica again.
In
so
what age group was that one?
That was in my age group, 50 plus. So a pretty good season for the first time.
Yeah.
Coach very proud of me, which makes me feel really good. And so it's like, yeah, tick, done that now.
Well done. When you say done that now, do you want to go back and do some more of that?
Yes.
You do?
I do. I'm crazy, but I'm still wanting to recover now and work with, get some of my injuries sorted and a couple of health issues sorted. But I'll look at it again at the end of the year if it's something that I want to get back into, and if I do, I'll do it the second season of next year, and I'll do a completely different category. I'll go up the next level into figure. So
what's the difference between sports model and figure competitions?
I think really a bit more muscle, but probably not much more for me because of my age. But it's different posing. It's more of the bodybuilding posing. So it's a completely different posing regime.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. You've mentioned your age a few times. I'm going to be rude and ask how old you are.
50 plus.
50 plus.
I will be 60 next year.
Are you serious?
I am serious.
You look.
So I'm going to own it. I'm going to claim it and own it.
You look fantastic for 59. Can I say that?
Thank you.
Very attractive 59-year-old.
You bet. Thank you.
Have you always looked younger than you are, or is it because you have your training and your good eating and things like that? Do you think?
No, I've always looked younger. Good genes.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely good genes have helped in that department.
You can thank mum and dad for that.
Yeah, absolutely. My mum more, but yeah, definitely.
Nice. Pauline, take me back a little bit. So where did you grow up? Were you born in Australia?
Yeah, I was born in Melbourne.
Okay. In the city?
In the southeastern suburbs, and then in my early 20s started travelling around the world, came home and an Englishman followed me. And
did you know he was following?
Well, yes, sort of.
Like it was a lost puppy dog.
Different kind of stalking back in those days. No,
yeah, okay.
And so we did some more travelling and ended up in Sydney. And then I've been up on the coast now for about 14 years.
And did you marry the Englishman?
No. I didn't get married till I was in my 30s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you on the coast by then?
No, I was in Sydney. So we moved up here, I don't know. My daughter was 9 at the time. She's 24 now. So yeah, we moved up when she was 9. And
how'd you meet your then husband?
Oh, it's a funny story. His sister was married to my brother.
His sister. Okay, so you were brother and sister-in-law.
Yeah.
Got it.
And we met at my brother's wedding.
Okay.
His sister. So that's how we met.
Wow.
And
so brother and sister were married to brother and sister.
Yeah. And we're all divorced now. It's pretty funny. We had a joke at the wedding that we're recycling the in-laws. Pretty true.
How long were you married for?
About 16 and a half years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why did it eventually split up? And how old were you then?
Oh God, I don't know. I can't do the numbers on that. But why did we split up? Well, we were two different people. We were a bit wild in the day, back in the day, and partying, and got together under those circumstances. So we weren't really clued in and just going in really different directions. I wanted to settle more once I had my daughter, and he was still wanting to be the wild party man, and it just was something that really was in alignment with me, and we just grew apart basically. Got it.
So you had your daughter to your then husband, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And how old was she when you guys split?
About 9.
Right. And
it was 9 when we came up here, so maybe she was a bit older, maybe about 11.
And she's 24 now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you would have been early to mid 40s when you split?
Yeah, pretty well.
I'm just patching up your life for you, Pauline, just in case, just in case you needed a hand with it.
Thank you.
So
and then my life really started.
Yeah, okay. What's your relationship like with your ex-husband now?
I don't see him at all.
Does he see
unless it's at her.
Does he see your daughter?
I've seen him at like yeah, I've seen him like the 21st and the graduation and that.
Okay.
Yeah, we're civil.
Yeah.
There's no contact really, not necessary.
Got it. Any significant men after that?
There have been a few.
But no one, you didn't remarry, you didn't have a long-term partner?
Not overly long-term, no.
Mm. Is that just how life panned out so far for you, or was that a conscious thing?
At the time, it was very much conscious choice. Definitely didn't want to really be with anybody in anything serious.
Mm.
I did have a few serious relationships have had a few along the way, but at the time wasn't ready, and I was really looking at who I was and exploring me and peeling off my layers and doing my healing and doing my journey.
Mm. When you say at the time, like that's 13, 14 years ago, where would you say you are these days?
Oh, definitely really open for being in relationship now, without a doubt. Especially with all the knowledge that I've got, it's like, I'd like to have somebody to play with on a more permanent and regular basis, without a doubt.
For sure. Well, thank you for that segue. What does that mean?
You're welcome.
You just said with all the knowledge you have now, what does that mean?
Well, I've been on a pretty big journey, and you know the work that I do. So, there's an area that I work with people around intimacy and sex. So, there's I've got a lot of knowledge. So, it's certainly fun when I get into a relationship. That's for sure.
Are you open to talking about that now?
My work, yeah, totally.
Great. So when did you first decide that was going to be an area that you wanted to delve into and educate yourself in?
Well, I started, doing my personal development journey once we split for my husband. And I just sort of fell along across a few different things. And one of the things that I fell across was a shamanic path called the Sweet Medicine Sundance path, which is basically a Native American Indian teaching that's brought out from the States. The teachers are from the States. And I fell across their teachings and did one of their workshops called the Kadoshkas, which is based on what was rites of passage back in the ancient Mayan sort of Inca times for young boys and girls, learning about sex and relating and all of that. And so that's what these teachings are based on. So I was as green as a bit of a prude, really. And I went off and did these sacred spiritual sexuality teachings, and they completely and utterly blew my world completely apart. And just, I can't even really explain it, but it was between the two courses, 2 weekends, and I had this awareness or spirit or whatever you want to call it come in and said to me I was a sexual healer, and I just was like, what the hell is that? I had no idea what that was. I went, that's interesting, I'll just park that over there. I had no clue. Anyway, so then I just kept going on and just kept doing my work with that, and I did quite a lot of their teachings and became an apprentice with them as well. And at the same time, I started studying NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. And it was towards the end of that training that I was with a girlfriend of mine, and we were going through a process looking for our niche of what we were going to sort of specialise in. And I was like going, well, health, emotional well-being, because that's all the stuff that I was into. I knew I didn't want to be a business coach. And she was being quite hard with me. And every time I opened my mouth, she literally slammed her fist in her hand and went, boring, boring, to the point where I sort of like felt my back was against the wall. And out of my mouth was the word sex.
Not so boring.
I don't even know where it came from. And she's gone, that's it. That's it. You know more about sex than anybody I know. And I'm like, really? Oh my God, really? Can I do that? And then I just went into this whole world of perturbation and oh my God, and I don't know. And all my shit came up about it.
Mm.
We did a few more trainings and it was really weird because these guys that we were training with were high-level coaches from the States. They suddenly started calling me the sex lady and nothing had been mentioned about it. So it was a bit weird. So in the end, I just went, oh, well, I'll give that a go. I'll apply the principles of being an NLP coach to what people's problems are around intimacy and sex. And, you know, there's a problem there, but it's not just the problem. There's always stuff below that, below the surface.
Deeper.
So as an NLP coach, I just dig right down to see what's actually the
core
basis of that problem, and then I look at where the person I want to. I'll use that technique. You know, and this is like 8 years later.
Got it.
And so I started doing that and started drawing on my knowledge that I did have from my own personal experience and reading and that sort of stuff. And then after a while, I was a bit like, oh, you know, do I really know what I'm talking about? Like I was having success with clients, but you know, we're always our worst judges. So I was like, am I winging this? Do I really know what I'm talking about?
Got it.
So
all right, let me jump in because this is really interesting, and I got a couple of questions for you. So, you did the NLP course, and then with your friend, you sort of said, well, I'm going to start I'm assuming some sort of a service-based business.
Yeah.
Because of the NLP course, you thought the next step should be to do the service-based business. With your friend's help, you've decided on sex and intimacy.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you know of any other people or businesses out there that were doing a similar, offering a similar service?
Not really. No.
All right. How did you foresee your service? What was it going to look like in your head back then?
Gosh, back then, really hard to know.
And how long ago are we talking? How long ago was that?
Almost 8 years, 7-8 years.
Got it.
What does it look like? Well, I just wanted to help. I wanted to help people with their sexuality. I was pretty passionate about, and I still am. Two of my passions. One is about helping people to really tap into the sexuality and really open themselves to experiencing their full sexual potential, because most people don't. We sabotage it on all sorts of levels. And then it was also people who are in relationships. So many people are in relationships and they're in them for the wrong reasons. And I was looking at it that, you know, if you're in a relationship, about how it can be sustainable and enjoyable. Otherwise, to me, it was like, what was the point? So that's what I started with. It was really interesting in the early days. I got quite, you know, poo-pooed by lots of people. There was lots of judgment on me.
I bet.
It was really, really hard to stick with it, because I got the judgment from people, because I was pushing people's buttons. Here I am walking around going, hey, I'm an intimacy and sex coach. And I was pushing people's buttons. Much easier now.
Why do you think it was pushing people's buttons?
Because they had stuff going on in their lives around intimacy and sex. So I'm like this person, you know, I'm out there. I've got a pretty big personality, I guess. I'm confident.
Do you think it was, Pauline, do you think it was that they, and I think what you do is great, by the way, right? Let me start by saying that. But do you think that some people thought that this shouldn't be open conversation that we just talk about at networking events and things of that nature?
Yeah, probably, but really I didn't give a shit.
Mm.
I walked to my own beat. So I think, some people were, quite taken aback and, there's always a giggle or whatever. And some people I know definitely push their buttons. And I just was like, oh, well, that's okay. You've got stuff going on. If you want to talk to me about it, you'll come and talk to me about it.
Would they ever verbalize their, the fact that you were pushing their buttons? Would they ever come to you and let you know what they really thought of what you were doing?
No, not really. But I'm pretty good at picking people. Picking up the
it's not that hard to get a
energy
vibe.
of people. So
exactly.
I could read people. So it was definitely, an awareness that I had, without a doubt.
Yeah. Tell me about the first client or clients that you had.
Well, it was funny because a couple of the first clients I had was just strictly NLP. I wasn't really doing relationship intimacy stuff. Although actually, probably one of my very early clients, I even went to their place to do the coaching. God, I think they've changed. Don't do that now. And I remember sitting in the car, completely freaking out. And then I put myself through a process, and then I was like, right, I'm good now. I'm good. And I walked in. And he was, a youngish man that really, really just wanted to be married with kids. And his background was his past girlfriends had all cheated on him.
Mm.
So he was carrying a lot of stuff around that. Anyway, we did our sessions and did the work, and then he met someone, and I was going, oh, I don't think this is it. But anyway, eventually he did meet someone, got married, and got kids now, and we're in touch on Facebook, and it's like, it was cool because it was my first success story.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
What would someone or a couple normally come to you for? What would be a general thing they would come and see you for?
Oh, look, it's so varied, but quite often with couples, it could be a libido issue. I do a lot of work around libido for both men and women. That's probably my biggest primary area of work, but lots of things in between. So it could be around libido for one of them having issues. It can be that they're having some friction. And because intimacy is gone, they're just not connected. So it's about looking at getting them reconnected, but also looking at what those problems are and why the intimacy is not working and what's going on. So it can be very different. In that situation, I might do a couple of sessions individually because, you got a problem. It's not necessarily the other person's problem, but you just got to the effect is. So sort out that problem and everything shifts, and then things can shift between them. So sometimes it's just about reconnecting them. It's quite varied.
Sure. Is there a simple answer to that libido issue for a couple? In your head, so here's the thing, right? When I used to own gyms, people would come into the door and I knew straight away whether they were going to hang around for 12 months plus or be gone within a week. I could just tell straight away. Could you tell when you would first sit down with someone what their issues were?
Oh, no. When I first sit down with them, it's like an investigation. I'm sitting there and I've got my Sherlock Holmes hat on and I am asking a million questions and I'm going down all sorts of different areas because I want to determine lots of things. I want to determine for libido, I want to look at health issues that can be impacting them. And then age, and if it's a woman, what's going on, if there's been sexual abuse. Sometimes it's not even known that there's been sexual abuse. And these are all the things that can keep people disconnected. And so then they lose their interest in sex or, like I've got a lady at the moment that's never had a sexual drive. She's in her 40s. She's gorgeous. And second husband, and he's just cracked it with her basically. And I think few times because she's never interested in sex. And she's like, oh, no, I'll sort it. And then it, you know, it settles, dust settles. I chug along for a while and then flares up again.
Flares up again.
And so this time I think it really flared up. So she went, oh gosh, I've got to do something. She found me. And, you know, there was a few issues with her as to why she never had a libido, but it was a control thing. And a form of abuse that she didn't really realise that she hadn't abused.
Got it.
But when we uncover it, it's like, well, that was non-consensual. That was abuse. So they're all things that on a subconscious level we're not aware of. We put these blocks and barriers up. Well, she's completely turned her around now. She's like initiating sex. She's like they're having a ball.
Yeah.
She's really happy. So things have completely done a 360. So there's lots of different things. It's really like finding what that is that's going on for each person.
Yeah, got it.
So everyone's different, and it's an emotional connection.
Got it. Does the husband come and give you a high five after something like that happens?
No, because I haven't met her husband.
Uh-huh.
But you know, I've worked with couples more recently with an older couple that came to me, and she was having excruciating pain when she was having sex, had been for 6 years, couldn't bear it. And so I worked with her in a process that's called vaginal mapping that basically gets rid of the pain. And it's quite obviously personal work, and it's quite profound and deep work, if that makes sense. And after, I think, 4 or 5 sessions, we got down to no pain.
Wow.
In the session. And then and she actually did a testimonial for me, which is up on my website. And she was like a 66-year-old straight Liberian type, lady, and really outside her comfort zone with the work that we were doing, and almost cancelled the last one. And I said, look, we're so close. Bring him in because he'll be here because he worked away.
Yeah.
And he came in, and the last session, no pain. Well, I got a text from him 3 weeks later saying, thank you. We're like in our second honeymoon. Who would have thought in our late 60s we'd be having this amazing sex life? Things are fantastic,
That's great.
And I'm like, that's what I'm here to do that work. So it's awesome.
Well done. Do you find that it is, and you've mentioned the husband now a couple of times, so I'm in no way suggesting this, but I'm going to ask the question. Do you find it is generally the man that has the overpowering sex drive and the woman that's pulling back?
No. It's a mixture. It's a mixture. When I started to do this work, my target market, it's so important to have your target market. And I just think that's bullshit.
Yeah.
The whole concept of target market really is bullshit. But my target market was women. And then I started getting all these men with problems and men with their erectile issues. And I'm like going, okay, so I work with all ages, men and women. And so, no, it's definitely not always that way. I mean, I do see a lot of women around the libido issues. Men tend to be a bit slacker in sorting out the libido. But I definitely work with a lot of men around their problems as well.
Is it generally a physical issue for the blokes?
Look, it's always a mixture, I find. There's always some emotional thing going on, or something that's happened that creates a belief. And so when I was, I didn't just do NLP, I studied Tantra as well, because I wanted to make sure what I was teaching, I actually didn't know. After a while, I was getting so many men with erectile issues and so many women with no libido or not experiencing orgasm. I thought there's got to be something more in the physical connection as well as the mind, like there's a link. And there very much is a link, and that's when I just studied sexological body work. And so I combine all three together. And there really is that combination of different things that are going on, and it can be the physical, can be health. You know, I had a young big guy come and see me with his wife, and he couldn't maintain an erection. And I'm like, oh, I can't, you know, I was puzzled for a bit, going, well, what's going on? And then I went, oh, do you drink? This is in the first session. And he's like, yeah, how much? Well, you know, he drank a lot of like bourbon and Coke or something, you know, like half a dozen cans a night, every night. And I went, well, I think the alcohol is going to be a big contribution. Where you make a commitment to give up and just drink on the weekend one night. So we made an agreement, and then I said, and if that doesn't work, then you have to stop that. But also with men too, it can be lost testosterone levels decreasing, the estrogen levels, their hormone levels out. Yeah. So when it gets to that point, then they have to go and see someone about their hormones. That's not an area that I can help with, but you know, that's a sort of a last resort, because to get the hormones sorted out takes a lot longer and it's a lot more expensive as well.
Why would a man have an excess amount of estrogen? What sort of things? Is it lifestyle stuff that would amount to that, or?
Look, it can be just imbalances. You know, as we age, and this is from my own experience, as we age, you know, we can start to become intolerant to different foods. Like I've got intolerances to foods that I've never had before. And that's come in, and, you know, with the hormone imbalances and things. And so it's about really fine tuning that. And, you know, this one particular man that I'm thinking of that I'm working with now as a client, he's fit, he's healthy, does all the right things, but his hormone levels have just, so it's about then the naturopath has to find the underlying cause for that. Meanwhile, I'm working on helping the libido, but it'll only go so far if the hormones are out of whack. So there are certain times when I'll just intuit it and go get those things checked.
Okay.
Come back to me. Yeah.
Got it. Pauline, you were saying before that in the early days there were a lot of challenges that you were facing just from the general public perspective. And then you said that's changed a lot now. In what way has that changed, do you think, and why?
I just think maybe the times that we're moving in, it's become more acceptable to, you know, to be looking at those sorts of areas of our lives. It's definitely being embraced more by the public. But again, only recently, I mean, I did spoke at Woodford, 2015, 2016. And that was their 10-year celebration, and I was the first person to actually get up and talk about sex.
Wow.
And that was only like 2 years ago. And then the following year, like not this year, last year, I did Mind, Body, Spirit Festival. Now that's been going for, 20 plus years, I think. And I was the first person that had ever had speak about sex at their event. So I just think times are changing.
Do you think that you had a big part to do with that? Like, I know you live on the coast, and now that I don't live on the coast, I kind of see now that the coast is a bit of a bubble, you know. Coast is a bit like Australia in that Australia thinks everyone cares about Australia, but in the sense of the whole planet, Australia is just a little drop. Much the same as the Sunshine Coast is a little drop in, say, all of Queensland, for example. My question is, do you think that you, especially on the coast, with your, the word probably isn't bravery, but maybe your, take this as a compliment, brashness, you know, because you are the way you are, that's really broken down some barriers? Do you think that's a fair thing to say?
Yeah, potentially it could have. I mean, you know, there's certainly lots more of my sort of people out in the bigger cities, that's for sure. There's not so many of us up here. Um, Look, it's really hard to know. I think just that there's more awareness going on in the world. There's more consciousness is rising. And, you know, this is sex and intimacy is such a huge part of our lives that people just want to know more. And let's face it, our education is pretty crap.
Sure, and in a lot of ways too, like we can, and teenagers can Google sex, and
Yeah.
you know, we can jump on and Dr. Google lots of things, but even that, in a sense, is a little bit dangerous too. I think.
Yeah, because if there's so much information out there that, you know, they are not always getting the right information, and you know, there are many levels of porn, and you know, there's the bottom level of porn, which is not teaching you the right ways and the right things, and then there's, you know, other porn that is. So unfortunately, I think there's a lot of younger people that are getting into the cheaper and nastier end of the porn, and they've got no idea how to connect. It's all performance. It's all about being performance, being and everyone's in their head and everyone's disconnected. And so what I teach is about how you can get connected into your body and be in your body and be in the space and be in the moment and enjoy what you're doing instead of being in the head.
I want to talk about that a little bit, but I do have a question about your presenting at Woodford. What do you get up at Woodford in front of thousands of people and talk about when it comes to sex and intimacy?
Yeah, it was my rock star moment. Before I tell you that, when I did my trainings and we were doing like presentation trainings, I had this vision that I was going to talk about sex to a massive crowd, and I was going to have the Salt and Pepper song, Let's Talk About Sex, Baby, playing in the background. And I flippin' did it. And I owned that stage. I totally owned the stage. I had 300 plus people at this, at both my talks at Woodford.
Wow.
The tent, if anyone knows Woodford and the Blue Lotus Room, it was packed to capacity. They had people sprawled out in the grass with speakers. They had people down on the floor in front, like sitting on the floor. And I had a whole deaf crew there with an interpreter.
Serious?
Absolutely. It was rock. It was a rock star moment, I'm telling you. And I literally had them eating out of my hand. Like, I was really polished. I was probably the most polished presentation I've ever done. Now I'm a bit slacker. But I knew my talk word for word. And I, you know, like, it was just like, yeah.
Is that recorded somewhere?
Yeah, it's probably up on my website.
I'd love to check it out. What did you talk about?
Well, I did 2 talks at Woodford. One was Let's Talk About Sex, but she wanted NLP weaved into it.
Yeah.
So I did weave NLP into the sex, talking about sex, and did the traditional NLP style presentation, you know, using your metaphors and all of that sort of thing, and leading that into that way, and got them doing a little hypnosis process with the crowd and all that sort of stuff. So that was pretty cool, which I developed for them. So I did like a change thing in that process. I can't really remember it all in detail. And then the other one that I did was on sexual energy. So talking about sexual energy more than just general sex, and talking about how we can activate our sexual energy. So depending on where I talk, I'll sort of combine things, or So I've got Sexpo coming up in like a week and a half. That's titled Let's Talk About Sex, but it's talking about sex, but I am wanting to talk about sexual energy with them and how to activate that, because it's something different for them, because we're at Sexpo and it's all about porn. So I wanted to do something a little bit different.
What's the feedback like from a group like that, where you're talking to hundreds of people and you're talking about an intimate topic? What's the feedback like afterwards?
Oh, it was phenomenal. Like, seriously, I would walk off the stage out the back. The whole crew were so blown away. They were like, that was brilliant. Thank you so much for bringing so many people here. Awesome presentation, and then I'd have to go, and then I'd be hurried one of the stage, and I would be like swamped. To me, it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
It was really cool. It was really cool, and that was with both talks.
That's awesome. You must feel on such a high after something like that.
Oh my God, yes. It was awesome. I was so scared beforehand. I was so nervous.
I bet.
Yeah, but that was pretty cool.
How do you get to present at Sexpo?
How did I?
Yeah, how does something like that come about?
Well, after Woodford, I was like, oh my God, that was amazing. I want to go and talk to more people. Yeah. That was so much fun. So I rang Mind Body Spirit Festival, and they were literally starting, and it was happening like in 2 or 3 weeks. So everything was closed and done and locked in. I'm like, oh, that's okay, next year. And she's like, kept talking to me, and I said, you want me to talk, don't you? She said, oh my God, yes.
You're the Woodford lady that talks about sex.
No, not that, but just the topic, you know?
Okay.
And she came back and she offered me like the Sunday spot at 4 o'clock, and I just went, no, don't want to do the Sunday 4 o'clock spot. I just said no. She said, okay, well, if there's any cancellations, I'll let you know. 2 days later, she rings me up and said, we've had a cancellation. I'm moving you to the top of the queue.
Wow.
Time slot, 1 p.m. on the Saturday, prime time.
Oh, nice.
So then I'm like, oh, I'll ring Sexpo. And Sexpo weren't doing Sexpo last year. They're only doing it every 2 years in Brisbane.
Okay.
So he said, I'd love to have you come and talk. We haven't got anybody like you speaking. Can you give us a ring later in the year? So I went, okay. So I literally messaged him right before Christmas, and he was like, oh, awesome. I remember talking to you. Yeah, ring me in the new year. And then it's like, how many spots do you want? I said, well, how many spots can I have? And he said 6. I said, I'll take all 6 then. Thank you.
Wow, that's awesome.
I'm speaking twice a day. Yeah.
When is Sexpo?
4th to the 6th of August.
So a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
I'm under the pump, sort of. Yeah, just sort of. Yeah, I got a couple of things to sort out, but I'm pretty well on.
Great. That's great. We touched on porn before. It's an area that I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on. How much of what you help people with involves some aspect of porn?
Yeah, there's a percentage there. You know, I always ask how much porn's being watched, because the thing with porn, see, one of my big things that I work with is around connecting to ourselves. So even if you're in a relationship and there's a problem sexually, it all comes back to you. So it's about learning to connect to yourself fully, being present with yourself, and then when you can do that, then you can connect with the partner and be present. And so we have so much disconnection, sometimes known and sometimes not known. So porn's just another level where there can be a lot of disconnection, because think about it as a guy, if you're sitting there watching porn, mindlessly masturbating, you know, you're not really in your body experiencing what you're doing. You're sort of going through the motion of masturbation, but
just
you're
like
actually
watching TV, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you're watching TV. It's all outside of you. So you're not connected. You're completely disconnected. So if there's, I just use men as an example because that's probably more what I've come across, but women certainly watch porn as well. I teach how you can work with porn in a more productive way so that you can be connected. There's techniques and things that you can do there. And I basically teach everybody how to connect to themselves through different exercises and different things that I do, and then integrating that into different self-pleasuring techniques and things. So, but we disconnect for so many reasons. You know, we disconnect because of shame and guilt, whether it's known or not known. You know, it can be lack of self-worth and self-esteem and self-love, they all come into it. So we disconnect, you know, like maybe a woman doesn't feel comfortable on top because everything's jiggling and bouncing around. The person underneath doesn't care, they're having a ball. But we're self-conscious, so we disconnect. If we've had any form of sexual abuse or sexual trauma, we disconnect.
Got it.
You're just not in your body. So there's lots of different reasons why we disconnect. And so what I teach is to connect so that you can feel, so that you can be in your body and experience sex instead of being in your head doing sex. Big difference.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Pauline, you mentioned at the start of this, or if it wasn't at the start of this, it was in our take one chat beforehand, and you talked about your spirituality. Are you a spiritual person?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, without a doubt. Not religious, but spiritual. I've done a lot of shamanic work with the Sweet Medicine Sundance path, so that was very much a very big grounding for me in my spirituality, but it was always leading to that anyway with the different things that I've done, lots of out there things over the years. Yeah. And it all has that sort of basis to it. So yeah, definitely.
Okay. And tell me about the next 3, 4, 5+ years in regards to sex and intimacy coaching. Is that the goal, to continue doing what you're doing? It sounds like it is.
I can't see myself doing anything else. Yeah. I mean, there was probably a period a couple of years ago where I looked at it and went, oh, you know, I'm kidding myself, it's a hobby. I'm not really earning any money with this. Like I'm earning, but I was just floating. And I sort of sat with it and went, I've got to go and do something else because I'm not for a bit. And I was really sad because it was like, this is what I'm meant to be doing. Like, I know without any shadow of a doubt, this is my path and what I'm meant to be doing. And so I sat with that for a bit, and then, I don't know, I just had some coaching, someone coaching me, like business coaching and stuff, and things just turned around, like completely 360 degrees.
What changed?
And probably just my approach, my attitude, my belief in myself. And I think just that took those first few years of that momentum coming. Like, I'm getting people now randomly inquiring on my website or ringing me, and I'm always like, how'd you find me? Google. And I'm like, yes.
It's working.
SOS or SES or whatever it's called that I just use those working. So that's cool. So it's like, it's you know, it's just bizarre, you know, like I can have like half a dozen inquiries, bang, bang, bang in a row. And I'm like, wow, where'd that come from? So it just, I don't know, maybe something in me shifted as well. And things just changed. And there's no way, I can't imagine doing anything else.
That's great.
It's what I'm here to do. It's like that message I got all those years ago that said I was a sexual healer and I had no idea what it meant. Now I do. I know that the work that I do is a contribution and it makes a massive difference. And so I just can't see myself doing anything else.
That's great. No, exactly. I'm sure you will. After Sexpo, what's the next big stage you'd like to present on?
Oh, I haven't thought that far ahead. You know, if Sexpo is good, I might consider doing it interstate because it's my target market after all. So, that's something that I'll definitely consider. I'm about to create a program, an online program, which I'm going to be selling at Sexpo. So I'll be busy getting that sorted and
got it,
funneling it over to my web guru person to handle that sort of stuff.
Well, you got 2 weeks. You better pull your finger out. Yeah,
I've got it sort of semi-mapped out, but so that'll keep me busy. And I've got a workshop that I'm going to do after Sexpo as well, which I'm going to be promoting there as well.
Nice.
So I'll be busy for the next month for sure with all of that. And then I don't know, anything's possible.
How are you going to fit in?
I'm doing a casting for Catwalk for a fashion show. I might end up doing some modelling, like it's hilarious.
With all that free time that you have.
Yeah, exactly.
You're still fitting in your weights?
Yeah, I'm still 6 days a week.
Nice.
But that's going to change probably in about 2 weeks because I've got to get an injury attended to. So I have to do light training for a month. So I'll probably be going crazy in that month.
Pauline, you're nearly 60. You're supposed to be slowing down, not gaining faster.
No, I'm probably the opposite to what I was 10, 20 years ago.
You're like Benjamin Button. You're getting younger.
Yeah, I don't want to slow down. I want to take this, what I have now, this health and fitness into my 70s and 80s. Our health's a really high priority for me. It always has been. Well, maybe not always, but it has been for a long time. And I just can't imagine being any other way.
That's great.
Yeah.
Hey, if someone's out there and they're watching this and they're thinking there might be some concerns in the bedroom, whether it be themselves or their partner or even a husband and wife that might have watched this, I'd like you to give your contact details in a second, but as well as getting in touch with you, what's one or two things that a couple or an individual could do initially?
Oh, that's really hard because I don't know what the problem is.
Sure. Everyone's different, right?
Yeah. So that's sort of a bit hard to really answer is what can they do. I think the first thing is to acknowledge that there is something that's not working for them and
have
to
that awareness.
Do something about it, because you know what? It doesn't get fixed by itself. You know, no libido doesn't get fixed by itself. You have to go and see someone and you have to do something about it. It's not just going to suddenly be all better. You know, if you're a man and you're suddenly not maintaining erections, you need to do something about it before you get to a point where it's really difficult to turn that around.
Got it.
So the longer you leave things, sometimes the more challenging it can be.
It can really become a psychological issue.
Well, it does, because it always does. You know, for men that can't function that way, of course, it becomes a psychological thing. So you've got to deal with all those aspects as well. So I just think, you know, it amazes me sometimes when I work. Probably men are probably the worst.
Why is that?
In terms of, it's like, you know, you're sick, you don't want to go to the doctor. It's not this guys just don't tend to want to sort things out. And, you know, I worked with a man that had premature ejaculation, and how long did he had it for? Forever. And he was in his 40s. Forever. And I'm like, how can you, that's just who he was. You know, but he finally was with a partner, was like going, oh, we need to do something about this. It's not working for me. And
sometimes it can take the other person, right, to sort of say, look, maybe we should have a chat to someone about this. And I'm assuming that conversation might not be an easy one.
Quite often it's not. Quite often it's really hard. I often will have see people that are in a relationship, but I'll see them on their own. And they might not have even told their partner that they're seeing me, whether it's man or woman.
Got it.
Because they just don't know how to have that conversation. They know that there's an issue and they want to sort it out for themselves. And that's cool too. So at least they're being proactive and doing something. It's just that thing of taking that step. I think when people are ready to pick up the phone and talk to me, it's almost like they've made that decision that
they're already there.
Even if I'm not the person that they choose, that they're already at that point where it's like, because it's such a big thing to ring me. And then I'm just like this, just have a chat, Mrs. Casual. And everyone's so relaxed with me. And some people have said, you're so easy to talk to. And it's like, well, it's what I love. So I don't have a problem talking about it. It's like if you're a cake maker, you'll talk about cakes with ease because that's your thing. So it's for me, I have the ability of putting people at ease very, very quickly, and building that rapport. So people share such incredibly deep secrets with me. And I feel really blessed that they feel comfortable enough to be able to entrust that information with me.
Definitely, and it's definitely a skill. And let's hope that cakes and sex don't come up in the same conversation. Hey, if someone did want to contact you after watching this interview, what would be the best way for them to do that?
Well, there's a couple of ways. They can go to my website, which is Pauline Ryland, which is RYELAND.com. And there's an inquiry form in there that they can shoot through an email to me. Or they can just give me a buzz on 0411 701 594. And we can have a chat on the phone. I'd offer a free 15-minute chat. People go, 15 minutes, not very much, but don't you worry, I can pluck out all the information in 15 minutes.
I bet.
To see whether there's a match for us to go into the next stage. So that's usually, I'll always have a conversation on the phone first anyway, see what's going on and go from there.
Fantastic.
Or they can contact me on my Facebook on Intimacy Whisperer, my business page.
Okay. Pauline, great chatting to you. Thanks for your time tonight.
Thank you for that.
I'm glad we got it out the second time.
Yes.
And all the best at Sexpo.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be very big, long days. It goes till midnight. It's way past my bedtime.
That's right.
I'm talking at 1 and 10 o'clock at night. And when I found out it was 10 o'clock at night, I've rung the guy and I'm like, what time does it shut?
Yeah.
He said midnight. And I went, oh my God, you got me on at 10. That's my bedtime. I'm going to have to take my vitamins.
That's
so
right.
they're going to be massive days, but I'm just going to go, let's just have a really good fun. I'm going to have a ball.
You'll be amazing, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Pauline. I'll chat to you soon.
Okay, bye.
See ya.
Ciao.